Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Jim Jordan completely destroys Jasmine Crockett when she decides to get up and speak in front of Congress about a topic of which she knows absolutely nothing. Let's dive in.
I do believe that it was ethically right for social media to check people because you had people that didn't know anything about science and decided that they were going to put out whatever lies or propaganda or conspiracy theories they wanted to, and people died. At some point in time, we have to evaluate what is factual, and I know that facts hurt y'all, and I just wish we could get on the same page, but we do know during the presidential election that the president would not go and participate in anything if fact-checking was going to be a part of it, because he didn't want to be fact-checked. We know that the vice president got upset in his vice presidential debate when he was fact-checked. It used to be a time in this country that we as members of Congress or elected officials thought that it was okay to just tell the truth. Instead, we're pushing conspiracy theories, and some of them are killing people. It's the same thing that we have coming out of Doge. It's the reason that people are dying. It's the reason that farmers are losing their farms, because we continue to peddle conspiracy theories. It is time for us to say, Mr. President, guess what? Russia invaded Ukraine. Can we at least agree on that one? Facts matter.
I just wanted to make a point. We've talked, the previous speaker talked about factual information. We've talked about fact-checking. Fact-checking, you know what fact-checking is truly supposed to be in this country? The First Amendment. Not some expert who can sit on and look at posts and tweets and different things and say, oh, that's not factual, take it down. That's not how it works. Fact-checking is the First Amendment. Someone says something stupid, and that happens every day in this Congress. Someone says something crazy. Someone says something that's not quite true, not quite accurate. You know what the fact check is? Someone says something else, and you have debate. That's what we do in this committee every day. And this is the committee who's supposed to protect that fundamental fact. Real fact-checking is the First Amendment. Our Supreme Court has been clear about that. You don't like certain speech, the best speech for wrong speech is more speech. The best speech for false speech is true speech. That's how it works. You have a debate, and you trust we, the people, to figure it out, not some expert who's going to fact-check every tweet, every post, and we saw this in the Biden administration. We're seeing it in Europe now. We're seeing it in Brazil. That was the first bill we dealt with from the gentleman from California, his good legislation that we all agreed on. We're going to work on and put a good bill on the floor. So that's the key. That's what and we know it happened because, again, we had the guy who runs one of the biggest companies in the world, most successful tech companies in the world, tell us it happened. We had on the third day of the Biden administration an email from the White House to Twitter saying, take down this tweet ASAP. The government telling a business to take down a tweet, and the tweet, ironically, was from RFK Jr., who was going to be running for president against the guy in the White House. So he was saying, take down the speech of my opponent. That's not how it's supposed to work in this country. That's what we're concerned about. That's why it's in our oversight plan. And if you want additional things to look at, again, put them in your viewpoints. We're happy to accept them. We'll take everything Mr. Raskin has said today, everything the gentlelady from Texas has said today. We'll take everything the Democrats said. You want to put all that in your plan? Put it in your plan. That's fine. That's how it works. But no, that's not good enough. That's not good enough.
That should have been the end of discussion right then and there, because Jim Jordan didn't just hit the nail on the head, he drove it through the wood floor, okay? And I know when it comes to government, everything looks like a nail, but the reality is the Democrat Party refuses to admit that they were culpable and they were part of the problem back during lockdowns. Remember when you couldn't share certain stories about certain diseases of unknown origin? You couldn't share anything about Hunter Biden's laptop. Do y'all remember any of this? This was just a few short years ago, only 5 years ago. We were not allowed to share stories on social media, and all because the CIA, the FBI, got their hands into Silicon Valley and basically told them, do not print this story, okay? Do not allow the story to continue to spread out. Do not allow it on your platforms. and demonize and demonetize anyone who dared talk about any of these issues. And Jasmine Crockett's party was part of that conspiracy. It was part of that problem. And they continue to want to censor speech to this day. They have forever been angry, for instance, that Fox News has been able to be on air for the past 30 some odd years. They have never forgiven talk radio, for overtaking them. Because guess what? The average person has to drive places, okay? And because of that freedom, they weren't able to get into that space and talk through radio channels quite the same way the conservatives could on that medium. And now we are in an era with Twitter, YouTube, Reddit. Reddit. But we are also in an era where Facebook has worked hand in hand with not only the Democrat Party, but with parts of our deep state, with our CIA, with our FBI. And finally, Zuckerberg realized that, oh, I don't like being told what to do anymore. That's why he backed out of the 2024 election. That's why so many people in Silicon Valley are now backing Donald Trump. It's not just an Elon Musk movement. There's a whole movement that they realized that was potentially going to be silenced and sidelined, all because a handful of people in D.C. who are not elected, they are appointed. They are then hired into these jobs in the CIA and the FBI, and then they get their fingers in Silicon Valley, and then they work them like puppets. That doesn't happen anymore, and it's all because Silicon Valley realized that it was either go with the freedom that Donald Trump was offering or go with the bureaucratized nonsense that Kamala Harris was going to continue to foment as a part of her administration. Silicon Valley finally backed the right horse, although it took them long enough. Meanwhile, Jasmine Crockett is out here spewing nonsense. And guess what? The First Amendment protects her ability to spew nonsense. Even though, if I was a member of Congress, I would immediately have asked for a point of order because she did not properly call out her own colleagues. She referred to her opponents as y'all. I would have immediately tried to raise an objection against that and have her words stricken from the record. But she deserves a little bit more than that. Some people need to be censured, and some people don't need platforms at all. Jasmine Crockett is one of those people, because she is out here spewing a bunch of nonsense about, oh, there's going to be censorship from the Republican right. Honey, your party created the very parameters that had been used to begin with. And then she's out here talking about, how did Russia and Ukraine come into this issue? Why is she trying to lecture the president on how, maybe she should have tried this. Ukraine is a small country. Russia is a big country. Maybe she should try the Kamala Harris approach, because that's exactly what she did straight up to y'all, the American voters, the American public, and y'all correctly rejected her nonsense. And for some reason, the DNC looks at this and sees the future. Okay, bring it on. This is going to be fun. This is going to be fun. Watching Jim Jordan just smack her down and remind her time and time again, line by line, how the Democrats have been involved, how the deep state has been involved in actually censoring free speech. And then Jim Jordan correctly brings up what's happening across the pond. You can go to jail for memes in the United Kingdom. All across the European Union, we're seeing nations come up with laws to quite literally censor free speech because they're terrified that eventually they have pushed the envelope so far that right-wing governments, remember, Europe is hilariously left-leaning, and those right-wing governments are going to say it is time that we stop immigration. They're terrified of this ending. Fortunately, we have this cool thing called the First Amendment. And Jim Jordan is right. The whole idea that you can have that having more speech is a good thing. That is a wonderful thing to have in our democracy and in any Western nation. And we should be glad that we still have our First Amendment and that the Democrats are now out of power and they can't touch your freedom of speech. And that also means that we do have to listen to Jasmine Crockett spew nonsense. But you know what? This is one of those times where you get to kick your feet up, enjoy some popcorn, and know deep down she's wrong and she's going to lose. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have a good one.